Anyway, I've talked a little bit about Zack Polanski and how I think he's a good leader and that. And one of the pitfalls he's not falling into, which is unfortunately one that John Lee Crumblins, Adolf Hitler, the Czechoslovakian spy himself, did fall into, which was trying to pander to Zionists. Now, what I mean by that is not that he was a Zionist or did Zionist policy, but Zionists obviously trying to weaponise anti-Semitism to try and back Israel's, genocidal campaign and all of that, to try and essentially throw up cover, to throw smoke in the way of people seeing and doing anything about that. And they were very effective in completely derailing his leadership and his potential run to become Prime Minister. Because he kept pandering to them. He kept trying to pretend that if you just give in and just give in and just give in, eventually they'll leave you alone. They won't. At no point will they ever do so. So the only thing you can do is that. Straightforward. Stick your middle finger right in their fucking faces and tell them to go fuck themselves, the genocidal cunts. That's it. That's all you need to do. Because it's the only realistic response that can be sought that has any chance of victory. And we have such an example. The ridiculous Zionist front known as the Jewish Chronicle, not really a newspaper of any note whatsoever, posted this nonsense. Polanski proud of anti-Israel Green councillors despite Hackney synagogue's call for their suspension. Now you're thinking to yourself, chat, what did they do that was so terribly anti-Semitic? That they've been a synagogue has called for their suspension from the party. Well, let's have a look, shall we? The wardens of an East London synagogue have called on Green Party leader Zack Polanski to suspend two local councillors who, quote, rallied against Israel in an inflamed meeting on Thursday. They rallied against Israel? What's wrong with that exactly? Like, you can disagree with that, but to suspend somebody on that basis seems rather odd. Presumably they must have more to it, I imagine. The extraordinary Hackney Council meeting was called after a joint motion advanced by the Greens and the Socialist Party to cut the borough's ties with what they called a genocidal Israel. And the reason, if you don't mind me saying, Jewish Chronicle, that they decided to call it genocidal is because it's doing a genocide. And has been for some time. At the meeting, Green councillor Zoe Garbett, who seconded the motion, said, quote, I want to be really clear what we are talking about today. A genocide, apartheid, a system of oppression and domination against the Palestinian people, unquote. So, I mean, so far she's just telling the truth. So, I'm not seeing what's suspension worthy here. She went on to say that the destruction of residential parts of Gaza during the war was, quote, by design, unquote, because it was, and the claim that the, quote, Israeli military strategy is known to involve large-scale destruction of civilian infrastructure, unquote. I mean, if it wasn't a targeted, coordinated effort, they have done a ridiculous accidental job of destroying all of the buildings of Gaza. It would be quite an oopsie-daisy if they accidentally bombed every fucking residential building, as well as destroying every hospital and every university, and deliberately mining and destroying the Palestinian Parliament building, even though they literally admitted themselves there were no tunnels under that building. Anyway, Labour councillor Michael Desmond countered the motion to divest, citing the fact that it was proposed shortly after Manchester's Heaton Park synagogue attack. Look, if you're a Jewish person in the UK or anywhere else, know this. If anything bad happens to you, at all, for any reason, Zionists will happily fuck your corpse for political benefit. Either metaphorically or literally. They will do that. They don't care about you. They never have and they never fucking will. You are merely a tool, a conduit, to get to their preferred political end. Your death can and will be used for their political ends, regardless of your wishes or your family's wishes. What the fuck has the Heaton Park synagogue attack got to do with the business dealings of Hackney Borough Council, exactly? I'm sorry, I didn't realise that the Hackney budget was dictated by the ongoings of Manchester. The fuck are you talking about? How is that? Look, you say that's a counter to the motion to divest. How is it a counter? That's not a counter to anything. That's just a disgusting abuse of two dead Jewish people, you sick bastards. Green councillor Alistair Binney Lubbock, lovely name by the way, although I'm not a fan of the double-barrelled name, but that's quite melodic. Backing the motion, then launched what Desmond later called, quote, an inflamed speech about the need to cut ties with Israel, shouting across the chamber that, quote, there are only two sides, pro-genocide and anti-genocide, unquote, and swearing several times, well, fuck me sideways, you cunt bag.
Oh dear, I seem to have spotted a cunt.
Wank!
I think those are all of the swears I have on the soundboard. Go fuck yourself. We're talking about like genocide and apartheid and death, and your man's even bringing up a terrorist attack that isn't relevant. You want to be like all prissy. They swore several times. Literally go fuck yourself. What? The fiery scenes prompted Desmond, along with Hackney and East London synagogue workers Stephen Brooke and Ronnie Barden, to write to Green Party leader Zack Polanski, calling on him to take disciplinary action against Garbutt and Binney Lubbock. So they wrote this letter to him, and his response I thought was quite good. My comment? ? I'm proud of Green councillors that are doing everything they can to bring attention to stopping the genocide. That's all that needs to be said. That's all that needs to be said. Not only is there nothing condemnable in what any of these people said or did, it's certainly not suspension worthy. That's ludicrous as a suggestion. What they said was absolutely true and righteous. So the only response is not to go, well, we're going to go through an independent review and get some obviously biased fucking lunatics to suggest that we get rid of these people because, heaven forbid, we have any criticism of this one foreign country. No, heaven forbid. We can't possibly criticise this government who are doing a genocide. No, that'd be terrible. No, the only answer is to say, yeah, no, I'm proud of those guys. Yeah, they're fucking awesome. Good lad. Honestly, I knew he was the right man for the job. You get the Kev seal of approval for what that's worth. Yeah, long may it continue. It's the only answer that's necessary in these times. When the genociders come for you, time to go fuck themselves. It's the only answer they deserve.